has been said these last days, we're diving deep. But as was asked on Sunday, the question could be asked, to where are we diving? And as was said then, we know that our thoughts abide in our mind, and our feelings abide in our heart. But where is the mandala in us, like the mandalas contained in all the cathedrals, churches, temples of every persuasion that contain the aspects of our psyche, as well as all the sacred symbols and archetypes. So let's follow another story and see if it can lead us to recognizing where lies our mandala. It's a story about a prince called Hassan. Now Hassan was tall and handsome and virile. One day he was walking abroad with his headdress like a turban flapping in the wind, his sword at his side, when coming the other way on the road was a maiden that dazzled him with her beauty. She was carrying a pitcher of water on her head. But strangely, Hassan took out his sword and with a sweeping gesture swept it in the air, through the hair, and where the pitcher stood on her head without touching a hair of her head or breaking the pitcher. And she laughed at him. She said, "Oh, Prince Hassan, may you be plagued with the love of the daughter of the Sultan Daud. The Sultan Daud, who has herds of camels as black as ebony, and his daughter, who is called the full moon of the night." Now Prince Hassan, hearing these words and walking off, could not imagine that anyone could be more beautiful than this maiden that he had met on the road. And yet, indeed, he became plagued with the thought of the full moon of the night. So within days, he packed his saddlebags with food and drink and set out on his quest to find the full moon of the night. And he traveled far and wide to many places. And there was a place where he met someone and asked the same question that he always asked: "Where may I find the kingdom of Sultan Daud?" And they pointed him in a direction. Several times this happened for him when he was pointed the way he should go. And then he found himself in a desert and was befriended by a group of nomads. The sheikh of that tribe inviting him, giving him hospitality. But when he asked the question, "Do you know where I can find the kingdom of Sultan Daud?" And they did not know. But as he was taking his leave, thanking them for their hospitality, there was an old woman weaving thread made of a fiber that was as black as the night. So he approached her, and after his greeting, he asked her, from where did she get this fiber? And she looked up at the tree by which she rested, and she said, I get it from the nest of the raven bird who brings it in from over the mountains in the distance. And so Hassan knew that he had the beginning of his thread. And he waited until the bird flew to the nest, carrying in its beak a thread of this ebony fiber. And he followed it. He followed it day and night, over the mountains and up steep crags. And it seemed that he was halfway to the sky, when he found himself in a strange place. But in that place he saw masses of camels as black as the night. But there was a shepherd taking care of them. In the rich pasture that was there, the shepherd was staking each camel in the lush grass and then moving it. And by the time he got to the end of the herd, it was time to bring it back again. So it seemed that the cycle was going on. So Prince Hassan, after greeting the old shepherd, asked him for whom did they belong to. And of course he confirmed that all of these camels belonged to Sultan Daud. And he asked the shepherd, what are you paid for doing this work? And the shepherd said, once a year I am brought to the palace and into the presence of the princess called the full moon of the night. And she asks me, how goes it with you, Muhammad? And I reply, it goes well, and I wish you well. This is my payment once a year. And so Prince Hassan asked the old shepherd, how far is it now to the palace of the Sultan? And the old shepherd pointed, it is just yonder a ways. So Prince Hassan hastened and came to the gates of the palace of Sultan Daud. Now, being admitted into the presence of the Sultan, Prince Hassan told his story from the beginning to the end. What brought him here, the meeting with the maiden on the road, and begging that he might have the hand of the princess, called the full moon of the night. But the Sultan said, I have said that only the one who can fight off all the marauders who threaten my kingdom, and there have been many a one who has come and who are now buried on the outskirts of this city. who have tried. But first they must conquer my enemies, and only then might you behold my daughter, the princess, the full moon of the night. So readily Prince Hassan took on this task, and with the soldiers of the Sultan, and with banners flying, they went to war with those who threatened the kingdom of Sultan Daud. The battle was long and hard. There were many bloodied corpses lying, smitten. But finally, the battle was won, and Prince Hussein, with the soldiers, returned triumphant to the palace of Sultan Daud, where in very short time, in the days that followed, the full moon of the night and Prince Daud were married with great ceremony and celebration. Mandala, the receptacle where lies all the attributes, all the aspects of what we might call our being, our psyche, as well as all the sacred symbols and archetypes of all times, rest, merge, are one. Where does it lie in us, this mandala, this hologram? What for you arises from that mandala? The interpretation of what it means, the princess, the full moon of the night. Dive deep, dive deep. Not only to discover where this mandala lies in us, but what it contains, the richness, the wealth, the knowing, the wisdom of all stories. And then we know everyone, we know all things, because they abide in us. Where is our